welcome to another episode of How Much Money Can You Spend on 3D Printing Creators this month? And the clue is a lot. So I just got a new camera and I decided why not test it out for my most popular and longest to edit video, which is a nightmare if I don't get the footage, because that makes sense, right? So the footage is off in this. Sean of the Past apologizes. Anyway, kicking it off with fantasy models, and we have Titan Forge with some undead and elves. So let's load those up. So this month, Titan Forge have a whole bunch of different stuff. So depending on what sort of army you're into, you could use this for Old World, you could use it for Age of Sigmar. We've got these really interesting undead like beasties. There's these like wraiths as like their kind of main infantry, and these tiny little, I don't know, goblin-y skeleton jesters look fantastic. I really like those. They're very, I guess, unique to it. I like the look of those. And then you've got these big old, which I assume are like giant type units as well. I especially like this massive like giant skeleton. It's holding a coffin with another skeleton like archer hanging out of it. It's a fantastic looking sculpt. And then this like, I don't know, wraithy, ghouly, vampire-y thing, like a boss assassin unit. The elves also look absolutely fantastic. You've got a whole bunch riding on like lions, and they look absolutely gorgeous. All of their infantry as well with these big old like halberd axe type things. The commander unit looks especially nice. I'm not normally a fan of like magical effects that you print off, but I really like that. I think it looks quite nice for some reason. I don't know why. That one in particular looks nice. It's almost like a big flamey bird, which I assume is what they're going for. It looks fantastic. And then there is a big old bird that somebody's riding on. So that is Titan Forge, and I think it's a really interesting set. Next up is Artisan Guild with some lizard men. And these look great. Yet again, there's so many fun things. If you're into lizard men, then this is definitely one worthwhile having a look at. All their infantry units look fantastic. You've either got them with like handheld weapons and shields, or like dual wielding weapons. Then there's some with like spears and big old like clubby axes. And then there's the tiny ones riding on like pterodactyl type things. There's a bit of terrain as well, so you get this like Aztec looking temple, which I think looks really, really nice. I especially like there's this, I don't know if it's like a shaman or an assassin type thing on a tree stump, and their commander unit looks fantastic. And then there's this big old beastie creature thing. It again, looks great. Really like this. I think it's definitely one worthwhile having a look at if you're into lizard men. Next up, we've got Victus, and they've got a whole bunch of skeletons in armor. So again, if you're into undead, then it's definitely worthwhile having a look at. I don't know what it is about these ones that I liked, but I just think they look quite fun. They look, I don't know, almost like the old Warhammer ones that you used to be able to get, and that's probably where it's coming from. It's a bit of a nostalgia thing, but modernized, and then they come either in modular bits or pre-built ones, which I'm always a fan of having both options available. I think, again, they just look great. They're a little bit cartoony, but if you're into that sort of style, definitely worthwhile having a look at. Next up, Highlands Miniatures have some more ratties. They are well and truly going hard on the ratties at the moment, which sounds absolutely awful now I say it like that. Never go hard on ratties. The RSPCA will have you for that. Anyway, moving on, they've got a lot of rat units. You've obviously got your assassins, you've got your gunners and like your scouts, and then some more of like your infantry bits. A couple of commanders, and then this big old wheelie tank type thing. I really like these. I absolutely adore what Highlands Miniatures are doing at the moment with all of their rat units and all the Skaven type things. I said in previous videos, they're very, very nice mix of like that old hammer type Skaven, just mixed in with a little bit of the new stuff, but not too much of the new stuff, because all of the new sculpts by Games Workshop look fantastic. I think it's really hard to beat those old classic Skavens. Again, nostalgia, but I love these. These are fantastic. Next up, we've got Gamuk, and they've got some skeletons, but also some like samurai type units as well. And I think they had these previously, which looked amazing, but their skeletons and everything this month look really, really nice. They're quite similar to the Victus ones, but just different poses. And again, that old Warhammer type sculpt from the old undead bits brought into like modern times. I really like them. I don't mind the new sort of like Warhammer and Games Workshop undead stuff, but I think sometimes it just looks a little bit over the top. Whereas these, they're like your simple classic skeletons, something you'd battle in Oblivion or something like that. I think, yeah, they are amazing. You've got this big old like terrain piece as well that comes with it. And then a whole bunch of these like samurai inspired bits. And I really like them. This other army they've got going looks fantastic and definitely worthwhile having a look at. And last on the fancy list is Beholder Miniatures, and they've got goblins, dwarves, and elves. So they've recently started going into like your goblin bits, and I really like them. So going through their list, you've got this first off, this big old grumpy berserk dwarf, and it's really interesting. It's jumping off this troll. He's in a really interesting pose. Not normally a fan of action poses, but I do quite like that. I wouldn't want to have it as a game piece, even though there's a big sword there and you've got the cloth coming off of it. Once you print it in resin, there's, you know, like a 95% chance that that eventually will snap once you're moving it around on the table. So maybe as a, I don't know, a nice piece to look at, but not so much a game piece. However, moving across, you've got these elves, these almost like, I don't know, fluid, dancey type assassin elves, and they're really, really nice as well. Again, Beholder Miniatures do a really, really good job of taking what should be quite slender weapons or slender spears and thickening them up without them looking goofy, which is great for resin printing because otherwise they will snap. They're a fan of big shafts, just like I am. Next up, we've got this like dwarf blacksmith, and you've got a few people with him, and again, it looks fantastic. Next up, you've got these elf-like command units. You've got the musician there, you've got your standard bearer, and then like your captain type thing. And then just some standard infantry as well. And then some goblins on a big giant spider crustacean type thingy. I think this looks fantastic. So again, a really good set there for your fancy stuff. There's a whole bunch of things. And I really like those because they just don't look fragile, which is always nice to have when you're printing in resin. Moving across onto SciFi. I didn't get much for SciFi this month. Nothing really took my fancy. Nothing really stood out to me as being like, oh yeah, that is absolutely fantastic. But I do have a couple. So first up was Dakka Dakka. They've got some rats. I think there's a theme here. I clearly like rats and Skaven type things. But they've also got some other bits as well. So let's load those up. So first up, you've got all of these like commando type units, one with a flag there. Again, nice kind of big thick armor pieces that fit in with like your Imperial Guard or like your inquisitorial squad or something like that. And you've kind of got those expanded as well with like some heavier weapons. And then moving across onto either some like chaos bits or maybe some Gene Stealer cults. I really like these. They've got these like clawed fingers and stuff like that. Some interesting poses. My only concern is the fingers might snap with those like long spindly claws, but fingers crossed if you use a flexible enough resin, then that might not be an issue. And then some more of like those like corrupted cultists and everything. And I really like these because I always find like cultists, they look all right, but they never look like they're particularly well armored or anything. And currently reading through Orgaunt's Ghost, and I really like the idea of like the Blood Pact being a bit more actual regimented and having proper armor and stuff like that, and being a real like force to go up against. I think these would work really, really nicely for that sort of theme. And then you've got some that are like mutating here. You've got this like octopus arm and some more interesting armor. Some of those will probably fit quite nicely with fantasy as well, to be fair, but you know, they're definitely very much geared towards sci-fi. And then you go on to like your sci-fi ratty. So we've got some big old like rat ogres, the minder for them as well with this lovely shovel. And we've got this awesome looking stomper mech for like Imperial Guard, some heavy weapons for them as well. So there's a whole host of different things this month for Dakka Dakka, and definitely worthwhile having a look at. Next up, we've got War Games exclusive, and they every month, for like the past couple of months at least, have had some absolutely amazing sculpts and a large range of different things as well. So first up, we've got this like servitor squad, and I really like these. These have all these kind of bits hanging off of them, like where all the limbs have been taken off and replaced with mechanical pieces. They look really, really interesting. And you've obviously got this weird little cherub, which is interesting. And then you've got like Sisters of Battle proxies as well. So you could use these. If you've got Sisters of Battle, Sisters of Sisters of Battle Army, these would fit in really, really nicely as well. This incredible looking Imperial Assassin with all the spider limbs and stuff like that coming off them. I think that's a really interesting sculpt. And then some corrupted guardsmen as well with these heavy weapons. Again, these look really nice, and they look very similar to the Dakka Dakka stuff as well. So actually, you could probably get some of these to go with that. And then, of course, some orcs. And these look adequately 40k. They look nice and goofy. They look like they're having a lot of fun when they go to battle. And I really, really like those. And that, for sci-fi, is, unfortunately, all I got this month. So, moving across onto D&D. And first up, we've got Pistaria Miniatures and Creepy Undead. I can't remember why I wrote that, but I assume it's going to be some undead that's relatively creepy. Here we go. So, yeah, it is. It's these really odd, creepy undead. Basically, these odd miniatures. I mean, the main one that really drew me was this... I don't know, it must be the main thing. It's the Grafted Nemesis Knight. And it's like the arm is like snapped where the bone should be, and then the muscle is hanging off, and that's what's connecting to the rest of the arm. It's a horrible sculpt. It looks disgusting, and I love it. And then you've got these big old like beastie meat things with like the limbs again chopped off, and they've got these hooks hanging off of them. These creepy, like, wraithy ghosts. I don't know if that's their faces or masks, but they look horrendous. And all these like wraiths that are very different to other types of wraiths that I've seen beforehand, with like multiple arms coming out of the top, multiple heads coming off of them. I just think it's a really interesting looking set, and again captures your imagination to think, actually, what's that adventure going to be about? Next up is a Mammoth Factory, and they've gone for a Hercules inspired set this month, and pretty much everything on this is like 10 out of 10. There's some really, really fun sculpts. I love the fact you've got these, like, your standard, like, Greek-inspired infantry, which look great. But then you've also got these, like, mini Cyclops, which I really, really like as, like, your, I guess, maybe enemy units, or you could take them with you. I love the little Phil, you know, the little satires. I'm not saying it right, but they look amazing. Massive beastie Hydra as well. Obviously, then there's Hercules on his Pegasus and Hercules on his own. I really like the Minotaur, so like their take on Hades with all of the flames and stuff coming off them. But I do also wish that we got a more, I don't know, something a bit closer to Hades, because I just really like the depiction that Disney went for originally. I don't know, that's just me, but it's a really good sculpt on its own anyway. So again, a lovely fun set, and it captures my imagination. I love all of their like Disney-inspired things they've been going for. I think they've been doing an amazing job recently. Next up, we've got White Werewolf Tavern, and they have a horrible circus. Now, I'm afraid of clowns. I don't know why I'm afraid of clowns, but they terrify me. So this set, as soon as I saw it, was just horrendous. And I don't know, I think circuses are creepy, creepy places. And they've managed to capture the creepy, creepy circus vibe that exists in my head. Like, that clown is just horrific, with all like the balloons and the lollipop to lure all the children to their doom. The elephant is horrific as well. I just think it's, I don't know, it reminds me of that scene in Dumbo where he ends up getting drunk and it's all horrible and blah, and that just captures that so much. Then you've got all these like acrobats, and they're just weird and spindly and horrible. And then there's this lady with a cake on her head. Again, just, there's so many good sculpts in this, and if I was going to play some D&D, I'd quite like to play this adventure, because I'm intrigued as to what's happening. Maybe not intrigued enough to go near a clown, but, you know, that's just me. Moving across onto terrain, and the first up we've got is a Cloud City. So this is a really interesting one. I think this would go great for... And probably something like D&D. You might be able to have a skirmish game on something like this, or some parts in a war game. I think you'd definitely struggle for a war game, but it's basically a big cloud city. So you've got all these like mountains in the clouds, and all these like floating island pieces, and these airships and stuff like that. I really like it. I think everything looks really nicely sculpted on here, and it's different to a lot of other stuff that I've seen previously. So worthwhile having a look at if you want to do something a bit different for like one of your D&D campaigns. I think this could add a lot of flair to that. Next up, I've got Gamescape 3D, and they've got this like old keep type building, which I think we've seen a lot of, but it looks quite nice. But the thing that really drew me to this is they've got this big old waterfall. I don't know how practical that would be to print and put in some like rocks and stuff like that. But you see a lot of rivers, you see a lot of mountains and hills, but not a lot of waterfalls. So if you are looking for a waterfall, it's here. It's definitely worthwhile having a look at. Next up is Terrain for Print, and they continue with their like World War II era houses. The thing that I really like about these is they look like they'd be easy enough to print, but also that they'd be easy enough to take and fit with other game styles. So yes, they're made primarily to be used with like bolt action and all your World War bits, but you could probably get away with using these with like your sci-fi stuff as well if you wanted to, just to mix it up and have I don't know, a house on the battlefield. They look really nice, simple enough to get printed off on an FDM printer without having too much issues in terms of like supports and stuff. So yeah, I like this. Moving across onto like your Kickstarters and all your, you know, all the bits from My Mini Factory. And first off, we've got dungeon blocks, and this looks fantastic. I did a video, I can't remember, last year I think it was, which is all the like hex tiles, and these ones look great. So these aren't the hex tiles, but it's a similar sort of theme in that you print off all like these frame pieces and you make your map as big as you want it to, and then you print off all the bits, like the inserts to go into it. So they show loads of adventures, or like examples here. You have like, they've got this river, and then you can place a bridge down, and you can place trees, or you could then take parts of that out, and then you could have like a little ruin in there, or you have more trees, you could take the river out, you could take the bridge out. I think this is a great idea. And it also has like a map designer as well. So you'd go into the software first, design your map, and like choose all of like their preset pieces that you get, pop them into it, and then you get the STL files all generated, so you're ready to go, and then you can print it. And again, that's really nice as well, because sometimes I find that when you get stuff like this that all clips together, you end up at this stage where you're like, okay, so what bit do I need to print off next? Which this kind of makes it simple. It's a nice looking thing. There's hills and everything else. So I think this works better if you're doing D&D and you've got a map in mind, you want to design your map and do that. But if you did want to go for like a big grand scale thing or a skirmish game, then you could absolutely use it for that as well. So I like this. I might back it, but there's another one in this set, not this set, but in this list that I might back instead. I'm really torn. Next up, we've got Atroxus Immortals, which is by Mammoth Factory Games, and they kindly sent me over a whole bunch of this beforehand, so I've had it for a couple of weeks now and I've been painting it up. And basically, it is absolutely not a spearhead from Games Workshop. Not at all. There's no resemblance. However, if you're looking to proxy a spearhead from Games Workshop, well, you can. It's all your undead, and they are absolutely great. They've come off really, really nicely on the printer. So a lot of this stuff I don't normally get to test before I'm talking about on a video, but this I have done. Everything I've been sent has been pretty well supported. I've not had any issues with that. But the bigger thing for me is that even though some of those weapons at first glance you can look and go, well, you know, the spears and the swords and stuff like that, they're all well, like, held by the models. They're not too far out from it. They're not going to break. They're quite thick as well. Everyone's got thick shafts, and, you know, we like thick shafts. It means it's less likely to break. And the detail came out really, really nice. So I'll try and have some B-roll up for you to see of some of the ones that I've printed and painted so far. It's definitely worthwhile having a look at if you're looking to get into like Spearhead, or you just want to expand like a undead army or something like that. Certainly worthwhile having a look at. Next up is Stoneheim, and I have backed this one, so I like the look of it. And basically it's lots of ruined buildings. That pretty much encompasses what it is. There's loads of ruined buildings. There's loads of stuff that you can do. I think this would be great for a skirmish game. It'd be great for wargaming as well. There's also some actual non-ruined buildings, and then there's ruined versions of it. So I think that's quite nice. If you're doing D&D, you can actually visit the building before it's ruined, and then you go back later on, it's ruined and something's happened. You've got to tell a story around it. I really like the look of this set. It looks like it'd be really nice and easy to fit. There's a lot of pieces. So you've got these like towers, you've got these different like domed buildings and stuff like that, arches, ruins, a whole bunch of different things that you could use for loads of different settings. Next up is Epic Engagement. I think this is the one that I am torn between. Yes, it is. So this is by Hex Hodge Tabletops, and Hex Hodge? Hex, I give up. Anyway, it is the like hex table type things, but slightly smaller. But they've made this for 6 to 10 millimeter sci-fi wargaming. So anyone who's into Legions Imperialis or anything like that at the moment, absolutely need to have a look at this. This will be fantastic. You've got all the hex tiles for road systems, for bridges, for rivers, for hills, just for loads of different things. They've got all these like bases carved into the buildings, bases carved into mountainsides as well. It looks really good. But I'm thinking that you could probably scale this up and use it for full-size wargaming as well. I've been doing my sci-fi city recently, and I've been using some of these other tiles that I've scaled up, and I like them, but I like these better. And I am really tempted. So let me know, should I back this one or the other one that I mentioned at the start of the Kickstarter bit? I really, really like this one, and I think if you blew them up, they would probably fit on the full-size Bamboo Lab bed. I think they could be fun. I should probably just do it for Legions Imperialis, but I don't want to. So yeah, I'm taken by this. And if you're into Legions Imperialis, you should absolutely look at this. And even if you're into sci-fi or maybe a bit of skirmishing, I think this could be fun. Anyway, moving across onto the next one, District 28. So this is a whole bunch of like grimdark terrain. You've got loads of buildings that you can stack. You've got bridges and walkways and stuff like that that can go across them. This sort of thing is fantastic for all like your skirmish gaming because you can quickly print off loads of things, build it up one way, have a match, and then take it down and build it up another way and just have a lot of modularity to it. So again, worthwhile having a look at. There's loads of different sized buildings, or like the play surface, bridges and everything else. You can't really go too far wrong just having a set like this. It's always handy to have. Next up is Market Town, which is basically a whole bunch of like medieval fantasy buildings. Again, great if you're into your Age of Sigmar, D&D, just any fantasy type wargaming or skirmish gaming. Nice, simple, easy to print buildings as well. They don't have too many overhangs or anything like that. They print very, very nicely with either limited support or no support as well. A nice variety of stuff as well, nice variety of sizes. They've all got their interior play space. You can pop the roof off, you can pop the top floor off, and then see all your units inside of it. So if you need some fancy buildings, definitely worth having a look at this Market Town. Next up is a WoW Buildings Outpost. And this is basically a sci-fi outpost. And I quite like the look of this one. It's, I don't know, it doesn't look like it's got too many buildings and it all forms one big building instead. But you could definitely use it in smaller parts as well. There's loads of interior play space, which is quite nice. And this strikes me as more of, I don't know, a sci-fi RPG adventure type building. But you could absolutely use it for skirmish gaming or war gaming as well. The interior play space is really, really well decorated and designed. There's lots of detail in there, which I think is quite nice. You've got all these different hangars, so you can put your ships and stuff like that into there. It's definitely got so much narrative to it, and I really, really like this. It's a lovely looking set from the outside, but like I say, it looks like it tells a really nice story on the inside. You can have a lot of fun with this one. And then last on the list is Outpost Mir, and this one looks really nice as well. It's a big old sci-fi outpost. You've got all these walls that go around it, and then loads of buildings inside. And there's a lot of variety to the buildings. You've got this like mini tower. So like you said, you've got all these walls, you've got these gate pieces, satellite dishes, like barrack areas, landing pads, generators, turrets, more generators, big boxes, sci-fi outpost things. There's so many things to this. There's a lot to like here. So again, if you wanted an objective or something to fight over, it's definitely worth having a look at. It looks very, very nice as well from all the renders that I can see here anyway. So that is my list for this month, and there was a lot there, and hopefully my camera didn't mess up, and hopefully my audio is connected. I'm about to find out when I go over to edit. It better be, otherwise I'll be so sad. So let me know any that I missed. Like I said, sci-fi, I don't know what it was this month. I don't know if I was just in a bad mood when I was having a look through this list, but nothing really jumped out at me apart from the two that I listed on there. So if there's things in there that you think I should have mentioned, pop them in the comments below. Let me know, what are you going to be printing? What were you printing last month? And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Ta-ra!